me gusta tu descendencia entera.
¿Por qué?
Porque ella me da
la mamá de 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 la mamá.
पास करो खास when the gas running out पास करो कार्ड भरा रहता है अकाउंट रात से होता सुपर शो selling out थोड़ा बैग in the air but cash नहीं allowed flow on करो कभी plan भी नहीं down short करा down नहीं more लेकर now with a four figure count करो soul figure out थोड़ा बट बड़ा loud हूँ दास जैसे गया मेरा डूब भी गाँव करा label announce for the same but a pen with a golf for the page in a zen with a power मैं favor का केक करूँ now 101 में जब केक कटा खा feeling way better pay जैसे ले with a भाव बंदे हैं ढेरों तक कैट जब amount नेट करे पे तो ये laser है दाऊद बेसिक और face it जो famous है IG का दोस्त से चेप के chase करो cloud हमें chase करे crowd तभी तेज चलो face करो fame जैसे shroud मेरा aim करे game छत्ते stream मेरे shout इनके stage में हूँ rage में और play में हूँ out कभी back में हूँ pain में तो nap में हूँ गाँव लेता nap नहीं attack में हूँ brand new sound लाया rap fuel हो जिसे देते हूँ boy बड़ा stack होता ready when I land and I count तेरा pack होता ready when I land और cloud नीचे passion है पैसा और पैसा ही लाऊं मेरा लहजा है दिल्ली का पैसा है pound ऐसी तैसी की घर पे मैं रहता ही काउंट करा
A mí me gusta tu descendencia entera.
¿Por qué?
Porque ella me da
la mamá de 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 la mamá
पास करो खास when the gas running out पास करो कार्ड भरा रहता है अकाउंट रात से होता सुपर शो selling out थोड़ा बैग in the air but cash नहीं allowed flow on करो कभी plan भी नहीं down short करा down नहीं more लेकर now with a four figure count करो soul figure out थोड़ा बट बड़ा loud हूँ दास जैसे गया मेरा डूब भी गाँव करा label announce for the same but a pen with a golf for the page in a zen with a power मैं favor का केक करूँ now 101 में जब केक कटा खा feeling way better pay जैसे ले with a भाव बंदे हैं ढेरों तक कैट जब amount नेट करे पे तो ये laser है दाऊद बेसिक और face it जो famous है IG का दोस्तों से चेप के chase करो cloud हमें chase करे crowd तभी तेज चलो face करो fame जैसे shroud मेरा aim करे game छत्ते stream मेरे shout इनके stage में हूँ rage में और play में हूँ out कभी back में हूँ pain में तो nap में हूँ गाँव लेता nap नहीं attack में हूँ brand new sound लाया rap fuel हो जिसे देते हूँ boy बड़ा stack होता ready when I land and I count तेरा pack होता ready when I land और cloud नीचे passion है पैसा और पैसा ही लाऊं मेरा लहजा है दिल्ली का पैसा है pound ऐसी तैसी की घर पे मैं रहता ही काउंट करा
A mí me gusta tu descendencia entera.
¿Por qué?
Porque ella me da
la mamá de 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 la mamá
पास करो खास when the gas running out पास करो कार्ड भरा रहता है अकाउंट रात से होता सुपर शो selling out थोड़ा बैग in the air but cash नहीं allowed flow on करो कभी plan भी नहीं down short करा down नहीं more लेकर now with a four figure count करो soul figure out थोड़ा बट बड़ा loud हूँ दास जैसे गया मेरा डूब भी गाँव करा label announce for the same but a pen with a golf for the page in a zen with a power मैं favor का केक करूँ now 101 में जब केक कटा खा feeling way better
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. What's up? Is my audio and everything good? Ek second yaar. It's been a while I've come live. Let me check my audios and stuff. Hello everyone. Okay, my audio and everything is fine. Okay. Where do we start? Give me 1 minute. मेरे को चैट देखने के लिए भी एक विंडो चाहिए. घर वाला सेटअप है guys, just bear with me for 2 minutes, then we will be on our way. Yup. Okay. What's up, Sanam B. Pujari, and Rizhan is also here. Quite a lot of people. So, my point here today is not to get the most amount of views, most amount of on live people and everything. Today I'm here to talk about this tragic incident that has happened in India. 2 मिनट रुकते हैं, 2 मिनट बात करते हैं, उसके बाद लेट्स स्टार्ट डिसाइफरिंग दिस रिपोर्ट. आई शुड मेक माई विंडोज स्मॉलर. यहाँ ले आता हूँ, इसको रहने देते हैं यहीं पे. जब मैं जस्ट चेक प्रीव्यू कैसा आ रहा है, जिससे तुम लोगों को भी पढ़ने में दिक्कत ना आए. व्हाट्सअप चैट में कुछ हो नहीं क्यों रहा, कोई बात क्यों नहीं कर रहा? Okay, let's not delay this and get started. This is the preliminary report for VT A and B, Air India 171. We'll go page by page, we'll read through everything, and I'll try to see what makes sense and what does not. I've read this once, but I am not completely satisfied by the report. Of course, this is a preliminary report and I'm not trying to pull out my guns and try to start blaming everyone that इसने गलत लिखा है, रिपोर्ट झूठ है. नहीं, वो सब नहीं करूँगा मैं. तो we'll just try to understand what the report is and what my thoughts are, because now I'm at a space where I can actually put my thoughts, because at the end of the day, another day of my life, I'm not a pilot yet. So it's just my experience of what I understand about aircrafts and this report what has come. Let's read this through. संस्कार नवानी, हाय भाई, कैसे हो, क्या हाल है भाई? भाई हाल तो एकदम ठीक है, एकदम ठीक है. आप सुनाओ, आप कहीं गए हुए थे यार एयरपोर्ट? रनवे वनवे मैंने देखा, पिक्चर बहुत कूल डाल रही है सर. मेरे को लगा मे बी इट्स जुहू एरोड्रोम, बट नहीं, जुहू तो नहीं था वो. समवेयर इन ईस्ट इंडिया इज व्हाट आई फील. एयरबस गाय, हेलो हेलो. All right, should we begin? Preliminary report, accident involving Air India 787 aircraft being registration VT-ANB at Ahmedabad on 12th June 2025. This document has been prepared on the basis of preliminary facts, evidence collected during the investigation. This information is preliminary and subject to change. Okay, we will keep this in mind, subject to change. न्यू ऑफिस नहीं, दिस इज माई डैड्स ऑफिस. बस पापा है नहीं ऑफिस में अभी, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम यूजिंग इट. दूसरा रूम है, पापा का रूम अलग है. इन अकॉर्डिंग्स टू एनेक्स 13 इन द कन्वेंशन ऑन इंटरनेशनल सिविल एविएशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन and rule 3 of aircraft aviation incident, rule the sole objective of the invention of an accident shall be prevention of accidents and incidents and not to apportion or blame or liability. This investigation conducted in accordance with the provision of the above said rule and separate from any judicial and incident proceedings or the blame of any liability. Consequently, this report for the use of any report for this purpose other than prevention of future accidents, incidents could lead to erroneous interpretations. Basically, legal matter. Disclaimer. ठीक है, क्या कहा आएगा इसमें? जनरल इंफॉर्मेशन, एयरक्राफ्ट आ गया, नेशनलिटी इंडियन, रजिस्ट्रेशन इंडियन. एयरक्राफ्ट की नेशनलिटी क्या होती है? आई डोंट नो व्हाट दैट इज. ओके, ओनर एंड ऑपरेटर एयर इंडिया. ठीक है, दिस वाज नॉट अ लीज्ड एयरक्राफ्ट, क्योंकि एयर इंडिया के पास काफ़ी एयरक्राफ्ट्स हैं जो पहले एतिहाद के पास थे. अभी मेजरली आई थिंक दैट 777s. ठीक है, एंड ओके, पायलट ATPL होल्डर ऑफ कोर्स बिकॉज ही वाज अ कैप्टन. एक्सटेंट ऑफ इंजरीज फेटल. को-पायलट CPL होल्डर. CPL के बाद ATPL आता है, राइट? एक्सटेंट फेटल. ओके. नंबर ऑफ पर्सन ऑन बोर्ड 230 पैसेंजर्स, 10 कैबिन क्रू एंड 2 फ्लाइट क्रू. ओके, सिर्फ 2 पायलट्स थे. सो दिस मेंशंस द पार्ट दैट देयर वर ओनली 2 पायलट्स, बिकॉज दैट debunks one of my theories of intended sabotage. मैं सोच रहा था why, because there has been a case before where there has been attempt of sabotage by a jump seat pilot which almost caused dual engine failure. I'll tell you about that in a while. Background देख लेते हैं. On June 12, AAIB was notified of an accident involving Air India's Boeing 787 aircraft bearing registration VT-ANB at Ahmedabad. As per the notification, the aircraft was operating flight from AI-7 Ahmedabad to Gatwick and crashed at about 8:09 UTC immediately after takeoff. The notification was received by the airport authority AAI and the airline operator. Okay. On receipt of the notification, a team of five officers from AAIB, including DG AAIB, reached the Ahmedabad the same day. Another 3 officers from DGC ASFD Directorate. हाँ ठीक है, उनकी कहानी इसको नहीं पढ़ेंगे पूरा. NTSB का क्या खेल है यहाँ पे, ये देख लेते हैं. नेशनल ट्रांसपोर्टेशन सेफ्टी बोर्ड ने क्या किया? न्यू सेटअप नहीं, नॉट न्यू सेटअप भाई, दिस इज जस्ट टेम्पररी. मैं घर पे हूँ, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम जस्ट डूइंग दिस फ्रॉम होम. In the initial notification of the accident, as per ICAO Annex 13 was sent to National Transportation Safety Board USA, which is represented the state of design and manufacture as per the AAIB. Okay. NTSB USA appointed an accredited representative of technical advisors from Boeing, General Electric and FAA to assist the investigation. General Electric, the engine manufacturer. NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board. They are from US because this is a US manufactured aircraft, Boeing. A team led by the NTBSB accredited representative comprising of representatives from Boeing, General Electric and FAA arrived at Ahmedabad on 15th. Accident happened on 12th, it seems, right? 3 days later. Okay. And participated in the investigation. A team of officials from AAIB UK also arrived at Ahmedabad and visited the site with Director General AAIB. Okay. भाई कहाँ से हो? Place. I am from Delhi. Injuries, crew, passengers 229, others 19, serious, minor, none, because we had one survivor on seat 11A. This was a Boeing 787-800 aircraft serial number, year of manufacture 2013. That is fine. 6584, ठीक है, blah 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 blah. The last major maintenance check as per program was on L2 carried out at ये hours and 7255 cycles. मतलब after 7,255 landings and takeoffs, I think is that is one cycle, it seems. The quality is crisp. Thank you, bhai. Thank you so much. The left hand engine was installed on 1st May and right hand was installed on 26th March. अच्छा, तो right hand engine was a little older, 2-3 महीना, but doesn't matter actually. There were 4 Cat C minimum equipment list MEL items on the. There were 4 category C MELs items on the aircraft of the. These MELs were invoked on this. The validity of MELs were till इतना, okay, 19/6. The MEL were for flight deck visual door surveillance. Okay, तो डोर के ऊपर जो कैमरा रहता है for pilots and everything, that was inoperative. Airport map function, which is probably the ground वाला जो map है, I think that. Core network and FD printer. There's only one printer that is used for META reports and everything. Is that what I feel? अब मैंगलोर बहुत आते हो क्यों? मेरा कॉलेज है वहाँ पे. Okay, so there were 4 things, those were inop on this aircraft. These were on the minimum equipment list, which goes by the flight door deck visuals, the flight deck door visual surveillance camera, which is the camera that pilots use to check outside if anything's wrong or not. And so that was inoperative. That is okay, not a flight issue. That's nothing to do with the flight. That was inoperative. And जो लोग बोल रहे थे कि भाई इस फ्लाइट पे टीवी नहीं चल रहे हैं, is your head being tracked by the camera? No, that's not the case. My camera was moving, but मैंने भी देखा. Anyways, doesn't matter. On board entertainment not working is not a issue for the flight not to be fit to fly. On board entertainment is an additional accessory. जैसे आप बिना हेडफोन्स पहने भी घर से बाहर निकल सकते हो, इट्स लाइक दैट. तो उसको मिनिमम इक्विपमेंट लिस्ट पे तो उसका नाम होना भी नहीं चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से. दैट इज अ पैसेंजर कॉस्मेटिक थिंग. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आता है फ्लाइट डेक डोर विजुअल सर्वेलेंस. If this thing is not working, okay, this is more of a security thing. This is nothing to do with airworthiness of the aircraft. Aircraft is very much fit to fly अगर ये चीज़ नहीं चल रही है. ठीक है. Airport map function. This thing does not have directly anything to do with flying, but when you're on the ground, you need your ground map and everything to maneuver. If you are well familiar with your airport, then this should not be a problem. And plus you have charts on your EFB, which is the electronic flight bag, basically your iPad. उसके ऊपर आपको सारे charts मिल जाते हैं. That TV thing which is circulating is just nonsense as per my perspective. Bhai, we are trying to debunk every perspective here. I will come down to the flap story also, why I think, let's talk about that only. Before anything, let's talk about the flap story. This one video from Captain Steve, which said that, okay, the flaps were prematurely taken away. Firstly, is what I feel, okay, I'm not a pilot, I should not say this, but there were so many images out on the internet. How come no one saw this picture from the wreckage? And why am I so sure about it now? I'll tell you why. Not this. I have collected some screenshots from the internet. Okay, look at this picture here. Look at this picture here. If you're saying flaps were prematurely taken away, this man who's standing on top of the wing, I can clearly see slats are out, flaps are out in this picture. Why does the story come out that flaps were taken away prematurely? It's a different thing that the plane can still fly if the flaps were taken away, one engine was failed and everything. But didn't you see this picture anywhere? This exact thing. Trailing edge slats are there, flaps are also there. Okay, I was not sure that, okay, ये भी हो सकता है कि ये flaps crash के बाद खुल गए हो, crash के बाद plane गिरा, इतने सारे टुकड़े हो गए, एक wing दिख रहा है मेरे को, दूसरा wing भी नहीं दिख रहा confirm करने के लिए, तो maybe हो सकता है crash की वजह से ये flaps बाहर आ गए हो सकता है, but wreckage में तो हमें यहाँ पे दिख रहा है ना that this is flaps 5 out. Now, why am I commenting on it after the report is out? Because now I can confirm that the flap lever was on the 5-degree detent. That is why I did not comment on it earlier. Firstly, some people will come out towards me that you're not a pilot, you have no one to explain. तुम्हारी क्या credibility बनती है? But भाई, जब तक मेरे पास कुछ solid proof नहीं है, मैं तब तक नहीं बोलना चाहूँगा. ठीक है? So my first thing when I saw Captain Steve's video that flaps were taken out prematurely, I was like straight up no, because I can see flaps out in the wreckage. And here you can see flaps are out. And now when the report is here, even the report says that the flaps were in the 5-degree detent. Why was I not sure that this is the correct flaps or not? Because visually, I have not flown on the 787 so much. I haven't seen it from all angles. But a pilot or a maintenance guy can easily tell you that this is flaps 5 or flaps 15 or flaps 1. So which is why the flap theory, I completely disagreed with it since day one. Does anyone have to say anything? Is my stream blocked? Something's happened to my stream. Hello? Disagreed with it since day one. Wait. My camera messed up. Cam got stuck. One sec. Camera's working here. Oh. Yeah, cam is working now. I have to check कहाँ तक सुनाई दिया था. मुझे इसमें से रील भी काटनी है. Why was I not sure that this is here? Okay, I think you can see me now. हाँ. What's happening? My camera is again stuck. Why, bro? But this camera is working. What's wrong with this one? Yeah, now it's working. Please keep working. I think it's working now. Yeah, it's working now. Yeah, all's good. We can't. Yeah, it's back. Don't worry. should be working now. Yeah, I'll just repeat myself in a very short manner. Okay. My point being, when the Captain Steve video released, there were so many pictures on the internet, on the media of the wreckage. This picture was very common out there, and there were even more angles of the wing. Any maintenance guy who works on a 787 or a pilot who's type rated on the 787 can visually tell that this is the wreckage is flaps 5, flaps 15 or flaps 1. I was not sure that this was flap 15 or flap 5 because I am not type rated on an A aircraft right now, and I have not flown on the 787 as much. But I can clearly see that flaps were not prematurely retracted. If okay, flaps could be retracted from flaps 15 to flaps 5 prematurely. Alright, that is why this picture would have totally deciphered the fact the flaps was in the correct setting or in the incorrect setting. The flight was almost under just 1 minute or so, 60 seconds or so. So within a minute, you do not start retracting flaps. That's the thing. But then of course, if you're flying lighter, you're accelerating faster, that's a different story. And why am I stressing on this point now? Because flaps being retracted prematurely, this picture totally says the flaps were there. And now that I have the report, I can clearly see that the flaps lever was at the 5-degree detent. And it is also hard to do it because in Boeing, between detents, you have blocks that you have to go underneath and then again push your flap lever forward. So no one will mistake a flap lever for a gear lever. You have to reach two different places. So, which is why before that whole ass video was made, just look at this picture. Just have a look at this picture. After the crash, hydraulic pressure loss, power failures, emergency relay activation can cause surfaces to droop in the down position. Camera is glitching. Little bit glitches. Now it's working. All right. So now this was my first point. Now let's come to some video of the crash. Let's check out some video of the crash. Then I can decipher more things from there. I don't want to look at the preliminary report. Okay. Let's take a look at this video. So here are three things. One, firstly, something that no one is talking about. 1 second. Yeah, you guys have seen a lot of shit on social media. I want to take a detailed video. Captain Tapesh. Okay. So now if I talk about the actual footage, why I did not speak anything about it. Firstly, let me establish one thing here. This aircraft, Boeing 787, is known as the Plastic Princess. Firstly, because of its composite material fuselage, it's not absolutely metal like other aircrafts. And secondly, one major point of this aircraft, that this aircraft does not have a pneumatic system. This is a very sophisticated piece of engineering that is fully electric. This does not have a pneumatic system. Everything in this aircraft works on electrical systems. And 787 maintenance guys must be knowing that this takes something 440 volts VDC something when you're on ground power and everything. And if the correct voltage, the correct supply, the correct frequency is not provided, this aircraft will not accept it. I watch a lot of stick shift videos and I have seen that happening. So which is why let's come down to the second thing. Bird strikes. Why are we talking about bird strike? Because Cactus 1549, US Airways 1549, when it landed in the Hudson, it took off normally, an Airbus A320, encountered a flock of goose birds and had a dual engine failure. Dual engine failure. Now a failure is different, a shutdown is different, and a flame out is different. When we're talking about flame out Flameout would include a factor of fuel. Shutdown is majorly when you're shutting the engine down manually. And failure is that it was supposed to work normally and it didn't because of external factors. What is your opinion on the videos created by Flying Beast? Do you feel the things he was telling is correct, including today's 11A video? I did not see today's 11A video. I saw his tweet about the FADEC full form. That is why I'm a little pissed on this report. I noticed that in the morning itself. And yeah, kudos that they defined FADEC में D as dual, not digital. Even engines that have, even aircraft, those have 4 engines. So are you trying to say that it's not FADEC, it's FAQEC there? FAQEC, quad, Q for quad? No, right? So it stands for digital, not dual. It's the system that manages the engine's power, parameters, fuel consumption and everything. I'm not getting much into details because I don't know it myself. So I will not try to give misinformation here. But again, I'm not also criticizing the report. But if this is an official government accredited license report that is supposed to be given out to the public, there has to be more to it. There has to be a lot more to it. This is a very vague report. Major thing that is pissing me off, how they are mentioning details that the first cutoff switch, fuel cutoff switch is cut and it took 1 more second for the second one to come in. You know why I don't believe that story? If there was a 1 second delay, we must see some yaw due to the asymmetrical thrust. If one fuel switch is cut off, that means this first engine is cutting off a second before the other engine, right? So the other engine will put more thrust for at least 1 second. And at that point of time, the pilots are flying the aircraft manually. So instinct is to put the opposite rudder. There was no rudder deflection. There was no yaw seen, which is why I absolutely do not believe on the fuel cutoff story. Even I do not believe the fuel cutoff story. Absolutely. Because, okay, people are also saying that in 2018 FAA ruled out something about Boeing's fuel cutoff switch related everything. That is fine. That it might cut off due to vibrations. There are 2 switches. Both of them will cut off. Exactly. Why would vibrations and some external factor cut off 2 of them? Hate is here. Gandhi, what's up? Hello, hello. Hello, Gandhi. So, cutting off 2 fuel switches together and that too 1 second after another. If this had to be someone's intention to sabotage something, he would have done it right away, right that time. And this is not a normal switch that just goes up and down. This has a proper detent that goes in. You have to pull the switch up and then bring it down. I'll show it to you on the simulator as well. Which is why I do not believe the fuel cutoff story. Absolutely. Yes, fuel switches are cut off within a second, but only when you are at the gate, when you're shutting your engines down. And one more thing, that fuel cutoff switches cannot be flipped accidentally. Do you know why? Because I'll get back to that. It would be a fake report. I don't want to comment on that. This is a government thing. I don't want to comment on that, but I'm just saying that I don't believe it personally. Look at the cutoff switches here, right? And it was something that they said that the engine lever was found at idle. Yeah, both thrust levers were found near idle position. However, EAFR data revealed that thrust levers remained forward until impact. So, what I'm still guessing is a total electrical failure. It's an electrical glitch is what I think. Pull and flip, Honeywell, yes. Locking mechanism. And if you know, in these American jets, in America in general, on is on top and off is on the bottom. Boeing is such a big company, won't declare their, let's not go there. I'm not angry at Boeing, I'm not angry at anyone. I'm just trying to decipher stories that sound absolutely fake. So, which is why if I talk about the thrust levers itself, in Boeing, when you're taking off with auto throttle, and 787 is a very, very sophisticated aircraft, everyone goes by the procedure. So, you press the toga switches, it takes the lever automatically forward when the auto throttle is engaged to the derated climb position. If you click it again, that is when it goes to the toga position, right? At any circumstances, it does not stay at the idle position. But now, if we have an engine failure, there are memory items in which you will have to bring the throttle levers back to idle, cut off the switches, disengage auto throttle. These are a lot of procedures they have to go through. So, if the report is saying that the levers were found at idle, but the data shows that it was still at full thrust after impact, till impact, I can just, is it mentioned in the report that if the switched were put in the off position at the same time, or did it happen one by one? It mentions that it happened one by one. It mentions that it happened one by one and with a delay of 1 second between both switches. So, when the throttles are forward, pilot flying and pilot monitoring have their own roles. Pilot monitoring looks at the airspeed, tells them that airspeed is alive. Generally, I think it's 35 knots for Boeing. In Airbus, you don't have to call out airspeed alive. In Boeing, you have to call out airspeed alive. And once you reach V1, which this aircraft did, once you reach, because without V1, this aircraft would not climb at all. If it was incorrect flap settings at the takeoff roll, firstly, aircraft will give a warning. It will not let you go. It will blare your cockpit with sounds, takeoff config warnings. And then, after which, when you reach V1, you are supposed to take your hands off the throttles. So, at this point, when you have reached V1, there are no hands on the throttle quadrant. Forget the fuel cutoff switches. So, if it is not intentionally done, then there is no chance of both fuel switches flipping together. Will they release the ATC conversation? I really wish they do. ATC only has those two transmitters, cleared for takeoff and the Mayday call. Yeah, that's there. I don't know if they will release it or not, because apparently monitoring live ATC conversation in India is illegal. So that is one issue. That is why we do not have live ATC.net coverage in India. Fuel control switches were off, so engine shut down and then auto throttle decreases, right? Arco, but the emergency call was recorded 2 to 4 seconds after V1. No, the emergency call was done after takeoff. 2 to 4 seconds after V1, the rotate will come. You will rotate after 2 to 4 seconds, but not, they did not make the emergency call while they were on ground. If I show you this video, look at this. How they are talking about the asymmetrical thrust thing, right? I was explaining that. Aircraft's going absolutely fine. It's going. Now see, there's the takeoff roll. There's the takeoff roll. We do not notice a single % of yaw. So if one engine is cut off and the second engine is cut off a second after, there has to be some amount of yaw, at least some rudder deflection by the pilot flying, just to maintain the runway center line. Since this is the preliminary report, we cannot say anything. Just wait for the final report, which will explain everything in brief in more than 200 pages. That is fine. I'm happy to wait for it. But the thing is that if the preliminary report is having such stuff. Why is my camera glitching again? Why is there something wrong with my camera today? Is my camera still glitching? The preliminary report is having such stuff. Why is the camera glitching again? I think my charger is going over my capture card. That is why it is causing some issues. Should I switch sides? But it's too late to do it actually. Wait, I'll just put something here. Jugaad. I don't think it should. I think it was electromagnetic interference that was happening with my charger. USB port check kar lo. It's not. It's just electromagnetic interference that was happening. भूख लग गई है मेरे को अचानक से बहुत ज़्यादा. But why the landing gear was down? Okay, so when something like this happens, like an engine failure, let me state this here. Landing gear was left down on purpose. There are two reasons to it. Because the pilot's minds get so occupied at such a situation. Firstly, they might forget about the landing gear because that is not their main concern right now. They don't have to come down. They have to still climb up, and the aircraft can climb with the landing gear down. There are ferry pilots who fly with the landing gear down. There was a recent flight, I think Lufthansa A340, that flew at 10,000 feet just because it has a cabin pressurization issue. It flew over the Atlantic at 10,000 feet. Landing gear down because no hydraulics. Not just that, even the landing gear lever was found down. Secondly, if you have an engine failure, even a single engine failure, you will prefer not to take the landing gear up, because that what will happen is that the landing gear up and down sequence takes at least 10 to 15 seconds, and the landing gear doors will come out. Those are massive things that will add drag to the aircraft. That is why it is preferred not to take the landing gear up, so that you do not have to take the doors in and out. If you have to talk about an exemption, okay, let's talk about the 737, which does not have a landing gear door, but it has a landing gear door on the main gear. That will in the nose gear, that will have to open. So which is why, just as a memory item, let's say, just as human instinct, it is better not to take it up. Yes, landing gear down, after keeping the landing gear down after your, if your brake temperature is too high, you can just normally leave them down so the oncoming air can cool the brakes before you retract it. Because if you retract too hot brakes inside, you may cause a fire inside your wheel well. That is also there. Both pilots are very experienced. We can't question their capabilities. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because we are not the ones who were in the cockpit in that situation at that time. They were at 1,000 feet. If they were at 1,000 feet, it would not be such a disaster. Bro, 1,000 feet, at least they would have more time to think, maybe more time to relight one more engine. But that has its own sequence. You have to turn on the APU, come to the engine. There's no pneumatics on this aircraft. It's not a regular procedure that I can explain, because I can explain you about how the Airbus would work, but not the 787. But the runway they took off from, if they were at 1,000 feet, they have Sabarmati river in front of them. They could have attempted something like that. Alright, so this video, there is not a single % yaw on the aircraft. The plane doesn't bank to on one side. There is no yaw. It just goes up and goes down. And see, now what the problem is, if there was a compressor stall which comes to an engine failure or a bird strike, we will have flames coming out of the engine. Dhap, 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 dhap. There would be flames outside. Flames or some sound or some yaw, some differential thrust, something would happen. But nothing like that happened. Which is why, see, even if it was fuel contamination, that is what one thing was being speculated. there were other aircrafts which used that same fuel from the same fueling station. Captain Steve posted one video on the crash day that he tell flap issue when he noticed rat and made again second video. Captain Steve made that video. That is good enough. You can put your own assumptions out there, but don't be so confident with your theories and pin down to one theory that everyone will start thinking the same thing. So which is why, and one more thing, they have, I saw this picture on the internet only when the crash happened. I saw this. I thought this was the APU flap for air intake. So when this aircraft crashed, this panel was open. But later on I realized this is not the APU flap. This is the maintenance panel probably. And this thing opened up because of the crash. This wouldn't have been open in the air. This thing definitely opened up due to the impact. Which is why I did not stress on the fact that, let's say, maybe this picture which is there about the flaps, one sec, which is why I was not stressing on the fact that this picture, these flaps were there before the flight crashed. What about the rat? Rat will come out. You have dual engine failure, the rat will come out. Now, let's talk about the survivor statement. There is no much wind into the rat. Bhai, doesn't matter. Even if there was no wind to it, the altitude where the aircraft lost both its engines, there's no turning back from there. There's no turning back from there. Alright, let's talk about the survivor now. Have you heard his statement?
The lone I feel
Not this. Where's his statement? Where's his statement? The video which I saw. There was a statement from a survivor where he was saying, this one.
वो मेरे नज़रों के सब सामने हुआ था. मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला, क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम लिए कि तो मेरे को लगा था कि मैं भी मरने वाला हूँ, लेकिन जब मेरी आँख खुल के मैं देखा ना तो मुझे लगा मैं जिंदा हूँ. तो मैंने ट्राई किया, जब मेरी सीट थे वो मेरी बेल्ट निकाला, मैंने वो ट्राई किया जहाँ से निकल सकता वहाँ से, तो मैं निकल गया वहाँ से. मेरे नज़रों के सामने एयर होस्टल और दूसरे आंटी अंकल.
टेक ऑफ हुई फ्लाइट, क्या हुआ था? और
Let's listen to this. क्या हुआ था? Flying Beast uploaded about the 11A seat guy. Yeah, I'll talk about that. We'll see that video also. Let's listen to what is happening here.
अच्छा, थोड़ा सा बता पाएं, जब जैसे ही टेक ऑफ हुई फ्लाइट, क्या हुआ था और अचानक से ये कैसे हादसा हुआ?
टेक ऑफ के बाद 1 मिनट के अंदर ही जब टेक ऑफ हुआ ना, तो सडनली 5-10 सेकंड कैसे लगा जैसे स्टक हो गया हो. बाद में से मेरे को लगा कि कुछ हुआ. बाद में प्लेन में लाइट ऑन हो गई, ग्रीन और व्हाइट.
This thing, green or white light. I'll tell you what that light is, exactly what he's talking about, because he was sitting on seat 11A. Now I'll take you, I'll show you some video. Wait. This guy is a maintenance guy. Good. He works in American Airlines. Wait, where's this 787 video? I see a lot of these videos when I'm having lunch. बहुत अच्छा time pass होता है. But wait, मेरे को इसका वो door देखना था. हट. 787 emergency exit. This मेरा चेहरा आ रहा है क्या बीच में? This is the thing he is talking about. This is green and white light. This is the green and white light he was talking about. And when does this come up? This thing is not powered by the IDG. This thing is powered solely by the batteries, which means batteries were running, but we don't know it was running properly or not. So batteries were running. When the engines turn off, the IDGs also turn off, the integrated generators. When they turn off, batteries take over to power these lights on. So achanak se green or white light, this is the light, because he was sitting on seat 11A. This is the light which was on top of his head. This is the light which he sees. It was the exit light that only comes on when it can be turned on manually. It is turned on manually. It is a procedure when you are lining up on the runway. You should have these lights already on. Cabin lights are dimmed and these lights are left on. But when you have a total engine failure, you don't have any of the generators working. What's left? APU is also not working. What's left? The batteries. Batteries light these lights up to their maximum brightness possible. That is what this guy sees.
बाद में से मेरे को लगा कि कुछ हुआ, बाद में प्लेन में लाइट ऑन हो गई, ग्रीन और व्हाइट.
Here's your green and white light. Lights up to their maximum brightness possible. That is what this guy sees. Let's listen to him what he says next.
बाद में वो पता नहीं, वो प्लेन टेक ऑफ ज्यादा करने के लिए वो रेस तो बोलते हैं क्या, रेस दिया होगा ऐसा कुछ.
By raise he means thrust. हम vroom vroom वो रेस देने की गाड़ी में बात करते हैं ना, वैसे वो बात कर रहा है.
और सीधा स्पीड में ही घुस गया जहाँ वो क्या था वो.
So basically the sound he's talking about is probably the engine spooling down. That is what he heard. That is what he is misinterpreting as race. Race मतलब race, vroom vroom, that sound. तो मतलब उसके एविएशन टर्म्स में वो गाड़ी से रिलेट करना कि गाड़ी में रेस देते हैं, तो यहाँ पे ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द एयरक्राफ्ट की द साउंड ऑफ द इंजन्स, तो उसको रेस लगा वो.
ये जब फ्लाइट जब क्रैश हुई उस समय हॉस्टल पे लैंड की थी, उसी समय आप बाहर निकले थे?
क्योंकि आई थिंक मेरे को जब मैं जो साइड पे था ना, वो साइड हॉस्टल पे नहीं लैंड हुई थी. हॉस्टल के जो ग्राउंड फ्लोर है ना, जैसे नीचे, वहाँ लैंड हुई थी.
ओके, वन मोर थिंग. व्हेन आई सॉ द रिपोर्ट में यू सी द इमेजेस हियर. There are top images. See this footage no one got access to. This is the footage that they got from the airport. हमको जो भी footage आई है, हमको right side से यहाँ से आई है, and जो footage recording है वो left side से है. This is a new angle. अगर मैं रुको, हम ढूंढते भी ये कैमरा कहाँ पे लगा होगा. It was the sound of rat deploying. Yeah, that is a very good theory. वो जो रेस डाल देते तो rat की आवाज होगी ना. That is the only thing that is spooling up at that time. Because engines are down, only thing that can spool up is the rat. और उसी की आवाज रेस डालने लगी आएगी. Yes, that is absolutely right. Here is Sabarmati, here is airport. Okay, now we have a video recording. Where's this one? This photograph. We have a watchtower here, aircraft is here, and there is markings here. Okay, that picture is taken from this building. The CCTV of that video is from here. You see this tower here? You see this tower here? And this tower here. Pulastya, or ko, अरे what's up Pulastya, what's up, how's everything bhai, are you still in London or are you back? So that video is taken from this angle, and which actually shows the correct ram air turbine here. I guess at end of the runway camera. So end of the runway, this is some army facility maybe. There's an army aircraft here probably. This is probably what, a Dornier. This is a Dornier. So this thing, this is the location where they got the image from, and if I see the vertical where it is on top from here, it is still over the runway, hasn't crossed the airport perimeter, should be about here. This is a satellite image, but this is somewhere here. I mean, if I use some photogrammetry from my civil engineering survey, photogrammetric surveying, whatever I've learnt, I can exactly find out where this thing is. I just need the focal length of the camera. I can find it out. All right. There goes this theory. So we've talked about the fuel cutoff switches. We've talked about a dual engine failure. We've talked about the rat. Now back to India. Arey, welcome back, sir. Milo yaar, I am here till 20th. अगर free हो तो मिलो मेरे को कभी. एक सेकंड देना. I'll be back from the washroom. Okay, I'm back. Cam issue again. Oh, sorry. Oh, I destroyed my camera. Now let me see what video has Flying Beast made. Let's try to analyze this video now.
12 जून 2000 25 को एयर इंडिया 171 अहमदाबाद से टेक ऑफ करा 32 सेकंड बाद क्रैश करता है। कोई भी सर्वाइवर नहीं था एक्सेप्ट वन गाय हु वाज सीटेड ऑन 11 अल्फा। दुनिया भर की मीडिया कवर करती है ऐसा क्या हुआ कि वो बच गया। और फिर जब आप देखेंगे वो बाहर आए उनको जस्ट फेस पे एक साइड पे खरोच थी, बाकी पूरी बॉडी ना कोई फ्रैक्चर ना कोई इंजरी। ही वाज एबल टू वॉक ऑन हिज फीट।
Four things are clear today. What? Tell me. Let's see what he has to say. I have not seen this video yet. Let's see.
ऐसा लग ही नहीं रहा था कि वो इतने डेडली क्रैश से निकल के बाहर आए। 11 दिसंबर 1998 थाई एयरवेज।
I agree. मुझे तो नहीं लग रहा था जिस हिसाब से वो चल के गया एंड देन हॉस्पिटल में जिस हालत में पड़ा था दोस वाज टू डिफरेंट थिंग्स। ये क्या है?
लग ही नहीं रहा था कि वो इतने डेडली क्रैश से निकल के बाहर आए। 11 दिसंबर 1998 थाई एयरवेज का जहाज बोइंग जहाज क्रैश करता है ऑल वन के बाहर। 11 दिसंबर 1998 थाई एयरवेज।
This is not a Boeing. This is an A310. One second.
का जहाज बोइंग जहाज क्रैश करता है ऑल 101 पीपल डाइड बट गाइस सीटेड ऑन 11 अल्फा जो फिर बच गया।
This is some mysterious theory he's talking about. But one last theory I did not tell you about. Do you guys know? This is Airbus. हाँ वही ना, that's an A310. Do you guys know one incident where there was this Embraer aircraft and there was a pilot who was on the jump seat who was having psychedelic thoughts and everything. He tried to sabotage the whole flight by pulling the fire extinguishers of both engines while he was on the jump seat. He was headed back from a holiday or something. He was on the jump seat. He was an airline pilot with the same airline. That's why he was allowed into the jump seat, because these SLT tickets, they just sit on the jump seats and just have to travel, deadheading. He tried to pull the fire emergency fire extinguishers for both engines, which would lock up the engines, and that's irreversible. That was one act of sabotage. He was tied up, he was caught, airplane continued normally again. But in this case, there was no third pilot in the cockpit. This was about an 8 to 10 hour flight to London. Doesn't need as such another third pilot. So I really do not know how they are coming down to the fact that the fuel cutoff switches were turned off one by one. If they are telling you, one second, even I thought of the fuel cutoff switches, of course, I did. Look at this. Thrust levers, fuel control. Okay, these are the fuel control switches, that's absolutely right. This is the stabilizer trim. This is stabilizer trim cutoff. This is the flap. This is speed brakes. I mean, we discussed 4 things today: flaps, engine, rat, and emergency lights. Emergency light, that green and white lights is absolutely the emergency exit lights. What else can we decipher from here? Yeah, landing gear is down. It was left there itself. But the point that he is saying that it was taken down one by one. Let's read. Wait. ATC communication. This is the EFAR. EFAR is located on the top of building A13th. Okay, let's look at the debris wala pictures once. Look at this. This is the tail section where the tail was found. This is where the rudder was found, the vertical stabilizer. So this thing got sheared off the vertical stabilizer of the elevators and then fell all the way here. And then all these buildings were also affected. This being sabotage is very unlikely. It could be a software error caused did the FAA release an advisory for some similar error in this aircraft. So FAA released this in 2018 that these fuel cutoff switches can flip to the off position due to vibrations and stuff. But both of them happening together. And how does it happen one after another? According to the report. I don't want to believe the report because of this. These are some reasons I feel I do not want to trust the report. But there are a lot of other things. But it was irrelevant for the 787. Might be. I have not read that one. Electrical malfunction. Yes. This is why. See, the report is kind of contradicting itself. The guys are saying that the fuel levers were found in the toga position after the crash. No, the thrust levers were found at the idle position after the crash, but the data recorder says that it was in toga. So, after the electrical failure happens, let's say it was such a devastating electrical failure that the recorder got cut off when the thrust levers were at toga. After that electrical system is cut off, there is no more recording. It's not recording anything anymore. So after that, whatever memory items and everything is done by the pilots will not get recorded. So if the levers are left there, it will not get recorded after that, right? So I still feel it's an electrical failure. Human error or sabotage? Many questions unanswered still. Yes, absolutely. But it is very unlikely that this will be human error or sabotage. So which is why, let's see what new khichdi does the new report, next reports come with. Report does not clear about any errors. They just mention about the fuel switch off, on or off. Fuel switch cut off. Yeah, they just say that it was cut off one after another. See, this is the exact wing which I have a picture of. Yeah, this is that wing itself. Look at this angle, there are fire extinguishers here. Wait a second. Is this the same place this picture was taken at? Where's this tree gone? Did it fall? No, the tree is here. The tree is here. Okay, fine, fine. Same place only. Even after the pre-reports, it's still hard to come over the fact how such an advanced plane can experience a dual-engine failure. It feels way more shady than it should have been, to be honest. That too without bird strike or any compressor stall. Exactly. It was just, it was just like, okay, I'm out. Engines were like, okay, I'm a head out. Which is very hard to believe. So these were my theories on this incident, my take. You guys let me know what do you feel about this. And until then, report need to answer a MST important question: why fuel was cut off and how? That should have been, if the fuel was cut off. See, they have the CVR recording. This is a very incomplete report is what I feel. If they have the CVR recording, give us the full conversation. If they do not give us the full conversation, how would we know? Fuel cutoff switch is kind of loud. It does get picked up by the CVR.
इसके बाद हुआ क्या कि पूरी दुनिया में 11 अल्फा सीट की डिमांड बढ़ी. पीपल आर रेडी टू पे एक्स्ट्रा प्रीमियम जस्ट टू फ्लाई 11 अल्फा, क्योंकि लोगों को लगने लगा कि 11 अल्फा सेफेस्ट सीट है. इस वीडियो में एनालिसिस करेंगे कि क्यों 11 अल्फा का बंदा बच गया. जस्ट
मेरे हिसाब से तो स्ट्रक्चरली सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग है वो एरिया, बिकॉज वहां पे विंग जुड़ता है आके. The wing attaches there, so it should be the most strongest part of the aircraft. But anyways, let's see what he says.
To fly 11 अल्फा, क्योंकि लोगों को लगने लगा कि 11 अल्फा सेफेस्ट सीट है. इस वीडियो में एनालिसिस करेंगे कि क्यों 11 अल्फा का बंदा बच गया. फर्स्ट रो ऑफ इकोनॉमी क्लास जहाँ से स्टार्ट होता है. इफ आई शो यू अ डायग्राम, तो सीट नंबर 1, 2, 3 ये है बिजनेस क्लास सीट, और इकोनॉमी का सेक्शन स्टार्ट होता है 11 से. ये जस्ट विंग गर्डर के ऊपर है. देखिए विंग्स जहाँ पे होते हैं वहाँ से गर्डर पास होता है. नॉर्मल भाषा में समझिए जैसे बिल्डिंग का कॉलम और बीम्स होते हैं ना.
अरे वाह, मैंने पहली बार फ्लाइंग बीस्ट को सिविल इंजीनियरिंग के बारे में कुछ बोलते हुए सुना है. वाह.
जहाँ पे होते हैं वहाँ से गर्डर पास होता है. नॉर्मल भाषा में समझिए जैसे बिल्डिंग का कॉलम और बीम्स होते हैं ना, उस स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट पोर्शन होता है एयरक्राफ्ट का. उसके नीचे लैंडिंग गियर भी होती है. लैंडिंग गियर टेक्स ऑल द वेट ऑफ द एयरक्राफ्ट, सो दैट पोर्शन, दैट गर्डर हैज टू बी द स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट. 11 अल्फा जस्ट वहाँ पे. लेकिन आप कहेंगे 12 भी वहाँ पे, 14 भी वहाँ पे है, 11 ब्रावो भी वहाँ पे, तो बाकी लोग क्यों नहीं बचे? बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग रीजन है. इमरजेंसी एग्जिट के सबसे पास होता है 11 अल्फा, और उसके आगे बहुत ज़्यादा जगह होती है खाली, ताकि लोग इमरजेंसी में पास कर सके. तो वहाँ पे जो एक्स्ट्रा स्पेस मिलती है उसने बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले किया इसमें. बाद में जैसे आपने देखा एंड एयरक्राफ्ट डाउन आ रहा था, वो टेल नीचे थी, नोज अप, ऐसे पोजीशन में डाउन के क्रैश हुआ. सो व्हेन द एयरक्राफ्ट इंपैक्ट्स इन अ,
तो पहले टेल सारा वो तुम्हारा फोर्स हजम करेगा. देयर विल बी अ मेजर क्रम्पल्स ऑन द टेल rather than the front. So a lot of the shock will be absorbed by the tail section is what I feel.
टेल डाउन और नोज अप पोजीशन, तो टेल का पहला इम्पैक्ट हुआ. तो अभी एयरक्राफ्ट जब क्रैश हो रहा है तो उसमें दो मूवमेंट्स होते हैं, एक वर्टिकल मूवमेंट और एक फॉरवर्ड मूवमेंट, क्योंकि एयरक्राफ्ट ऐसे आ रहा है तो वर्टिकल भी डाउन आ रहा है, आगे भी जा रहा है. तो जो सारा वर्टिकल इम्पैक्ट है वो टेल उसको एब्जॉर्ब कर लेती है. तो जो सबसे मैं
यही बोला मैंने,
कहूँगा नॉट सर्वाइवेबल सीट्स होती है वो टेल के पास होती है, क्योंकि टेल पहले स्ट्राइक करती है. जो भी बंदा सबसे लास्ट सीट में डायग्राम देखेंगे आप, 36, 37, 38, 39 इन सीट्स में जो बैठे होंगे पीछे की क्रू होगी, दे विल बी द फर्स्ट वन टू लूज देयर लाइफ, क्योंकि सारा इंपैक्ट वो वाला एयरक्राफ्ट का
होती भी सबसे सस्ती है. आज ही मैं चेक इन कर रहा था अपनी फ्लाइट के लिए, ये थी सबसे सस्ती फ्लाइट की टिकट, मतलब सीट की टिकट
पार्ट झेलता है. और जब एयरक्राफ्ट ऐसे गिरा एंड देन ऐसे फॉल करेगा तो नोज में भी बहुत ज़्यादा इंपैक्ट आता है,
बिकॉज दैट्स द एंड पॉइंट. सो इफ यू सीन हाउ एक चाबुक चलती है तो विप का जो एंड वाला पार्ट होता है इज द फास्टेस्ट. दैट इज व्हाट कॉजेस सुपरसोनिक बूम आल्सो.
बीच की सीट्स होती हैं जो गर्डर के पास की. एग्जैक्ट
आफ्टर पायलट आंसर्ड दैट ही डजंट कट ऑफ द फ्यूल सप्लाई एंड मेड ए कॉल, व्हाट हैपेंड इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग फॉर दिस इन्वेस्टिगेशन. भाई आई फील लाइक मैं जब छोटा था ना, जब मैं नेट जियो पे एयरक्राफ्ट इन्वेस्टिगेशन देखता था बहुत, वो सारे क्रैश 20-20 साल पुराने थे. तो अब मेरे को लग रहा है 20 साल बाद ही मेरे को कोई ऐसे एपिसोड देखने को मिलेगा जहाँ पे सब कुछ आराम से समझ में आएगा. मेंटूर पायलट वीडियो कब बनाएगा इस बारे में यार? उसकी मस्त समझ में आती है, बट कोई ना.
एक्चुअली 11 रो में सबसे कम इम्पैक्ट वहाँ पे आता है,
बिकॉज बीच में है.
Now let's come back to the main part of this video, which is the seat belt. देखिए सीट बेल्ट दो प्रकार की होती है एयरक्राफ्ट में, जब भी किसी ने भी ट्रैवल किया हो, इट्स अ 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट, मतलब कि कुर्सी में एक यहाँ से आएगा बीच में आपने बांध लिया। सो आपकी कुर्सी से वो 2 पॉइंट से कॉन्टैक्ट में, 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट। वहीं अगर आप कार में देखेंगे इट इज कॉल्ड 3 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट। अगर यहाँ से तो एक यहाँ से पुल करेंगे तो उसके 2 कॉन्टैक्ट हो गए, यहाँ से एक नीचे से और एक ऑपोजिट साइड से, तो 3 पॉइंट से कॉन्टैक्ट है। आपके पूरे टॉर्सो को या बॉडी को सीट से बांध के रखती है, झटका आपके बॉडी आगे नहीं सकती। लेकिन 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट में व्हाई दिस इज डेंजरस एंड व्हाई वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इट। सो इफ यू लुक इन दिस डायग्राम, ये 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट है और यहाँ पे साइंटिस्ट ने एक क्रैश स्टडी किया कि जब 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट पे क्रैश होता है तो कैसा होगा। T = 0, तो इसमें ये गाड़ी आगे जा रही है एंड देन बंदा नॉर्मली सीट से बैठा हुआ है।
तो सामने जब इतनी खाली जगह है, पीछे वालों का तो सर वगैरह सब कुछ सामने वाली चेयर पे लग जाएगा, इसके सामने कुछ था नहीं तो उसकी कमर टूट सकती है, बट नाक वाक को कुछ नहीं होगा, सर से ठीक रहेगा बंदा। He has 6,000 hours of flying experience and one of the best pilot who has fought against Air Asia. नहीं भाई, मेरे भी अलग इसके बारे में थॉट्स हैं। I have a video, I'll make a video soon on one of his old videos. तो वो बात नहीं है, he is a good pilot. When he was a pilot, he was a good pilot for sure. उसका Air Asia वगैरह, that's a personal controversy, I won't get into it. But as a person, he must be a good person. होगा, I don't even know where he lives right now. But yeah, so aviation knowledge wise, भाई of course वो pilot था, उसने एग्जाम दिया है, उसकी credibility मेरे से ज़्यादा है, तो उसकी ही सुननी पड़ेगी सबसे पहले। But my opinion is my opinion, so I can make an opinion on anywhere.
पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट है एंड T = 100 मिलीसेकंड इम्पैक्ट हुआ। अब देखिए इसकी अपर बॉडी भी आगे जाना शुरू हो गई एंड लोअर बॉडी भी आगे जाना शुरू हो गई। T 115 मिली सेकेंड्स और आगे गई, T 130 मिली सेकेंड्स, अपर बॉडी पूरी आगे है, लोअर बॉडी पूरी आगे है एंड देन तो आपका जो टॉर्सो है, जो पेल्विक है, वो इस सीट से बना हुआ है। क्यों
मैं तो कहता हूँ अगर ऐसा ही सिनेरियो है तो फिर वहाँ से जो इन फ्लाइट एंटरटेनमेंट हटा दो, वहाँ से एयरबैग डालो। मजाक कर रहा हूँ लेकिन या दैट मेक्स मोर सेंस। भाई बस में लोगों के ज़्यादा तेज ब्रेक लगती है, नाक फट जाती है रात को सोते हुए, ये तो एयर बस बोइंग है।
क्योंकि 2 पॉइंट कॉन्टैक्ट है और अपर बॉडी आगे, लोअर बॉडी आगे, तो इस केस में क्या होता है, आपके पेल्विक, आपकी स्पाइन ये फ्रैक्चर हो जाती है। एंड व्हाट डॉक्टर नामित सिंह has written in his paper, he's explained it causes spinal fractures, abdominal perforations, menstrual tears, organ lacerations.
And research में देखा गया है कि अगर आपने 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट पहनी है around your waist and if there forward impact होगा, then your forward body and lower body will move forward at a very high speed.
Correct.
Your maximum injuries will be on your hip.
हिप का रूट है वो पेट, स्पाइनल फ्रैक्चर है, वो चल के बाहर ही नहीं आ सकता। एकदम से क्रैश हुआ, कितनी भी बड़ी फ्रैक्चर है, वो चल के बाहर।
मुझे तो शक है वो उस प्लेन पे पैसेंजर था भी या नहीं, मुझे तो लगता है वो पैसेंजर था ही नहीं
आ
बट हाँ बोर्डिंग पास था उसके पास
सकता। एकदम से क्रैश हुआ, कितनी भी बढ़िया इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज हो, 15-20 आधा घंटा तो उसको लगेगा वहाँ पहुँचने में, तब तक वो बंदा या तो उस इंजरी से दम तोड़ देता है जो उसको सीट बेल्ट से हुई है, या फिर अगर वो उसको इंजरी हुई है वो जिंदा भी है एंड ही कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग, ही कैन जस्ट सी फायर एंड स्मोक इन फ्रंट ऑफ हिम एंड तब वो दम तोड़ देता है। देखिए इन्होंने रिसर्च में कहा कि लैप ओनली रिस्ट्रेंट्स प्रिवेंट द पेल्विस फ्रॉम मूविंग फॉरवर्ड बट अलाउ द टॉर्सो टू वायलेंटली बेंड, क्रशिंग इंटरनल ऑर्गन्स। ये तेजेरा एंड लीबेकर है, ये सेफ्टी एक्सपर्ट है। कुछ होते हैं लोग जो कभी कभी नहीं बात मानते क्रू की, या थोड़े उदंड जैसे लोग होते हैं, तो यार एक्सपर्ट्स हैं कि उसने हो सकता है सीट बेल्ट ना लगाई हो। बहुत लोग होते हैं कि लैंडिंग जैसे सीट बेल्ट खोल दिया। देखो डू नॉट टेक दिस वीडियो एज एन एक्सक्यूज कि आप सीट बेल्ट नहीं लगाएंगे, इट्स अ लॉट, आपको सीट बेल्ट लगानी होती है। टू एक्सप्लेन दिस केस, उसने सीट बेल्ट नहीं लगाई होगी एंड जब इंपैक्ट हुआ उसकी बॉडी आगे गई। एक चीज आप देखेंगे, उसके सिर्फ फेस के एक साइड पे खरोच के,
तो इसने सीधा अपना फेस मारा आगे जाके किसी कोने में। मैं भी जरा से अलग, मेरे भी ज़रा से अलग थॉट्स है। हाँ ठीक है,
मार्क्स है, एक साइड पूरा क्लीन है उसका, फिंगर्स पे कुछ नहीं आया
एंड दैट्स नॉट बर्न मार्क्स ऑन हिज फेस। उसके बाल ही नहीं जले, उसका हेयर कट ठीक दिख रहा है अभी भी, उसके बालों को कुछ नहीं हुआ।
साइड पे खरोच के मार्क्स है, एक साइड पूरा क्लीन है उसका, फिंगर्स पे कुछ नहीं आया, यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं आया एंड देन एक फ्रैक्चर नहीं आया, मतलब छोटी उंगली की छोटी हड्डी भी फ्रैक्चर नहीं आया। सो प्रोबेबल एक्सप्लेनेशन।
भाई मुझे भी ऐसा लग रहा है कि वो सच में पैसेंजर था।
सीट बेल्ट नहीं पहनी होगी नंबर 1, या नंबर 2 उसकी सीट बेल्ट फेल हो गई होगी, उसने ठीक से बकल नहीं लगाया, जैसे इंपैक्ट उसका बकल खुल जाएगा।
हाँ ये हो सकता है, बकल नहीं, उसका जो नीचे बोल्ट होता है वही खुल गया होगा
एंड वो इमरजेंसी एग्जिट पे।
तो बेसिकली काफी सारा फोर्स बेल्ट ने लिया लेकिन उसकी कमर तोड़ने लायक नहीं, तब तक उसकी बेल्ट टूट गई और ये आगे निकल गया। बट अगर बेल्ट होती ही नहीं तो ये बहुत स्पीड से आ गया था, बट बेल्ट ने थोड़ा रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया बीच में
था। उसके आगे जस्ट आगे कोई सीट नहीं थी, क्योंकि जस्ट आगे अगर सीट होती तो भी देखा गया कि आप ऐसे गए एंड आपका ये वाला फ्रैक्चर।
लो वही मैंने नाक फटने की बात करी, ऐसे चलते बस में ब्रेक लग जाए लोगों की नाक फट जाती है आगे की सीट पे आके, ये तो प्लेन है।
गर्दन का फ्रैक्चर हो जाता है एंड देन ऑल्सो यू लूज योर लाइफ। तो उसके सामने 6 फीट का डिस्टेंस था, प्रॉब्ली ही वेंट फॉरवर्ड, उसने उसका आगे वाली सीट पे उसका ये लगा होगा एंड जब उसको डिस्टेंस मिला 6 फीट,
वहाँ आगे वाली सीट होती नहीं है, वहाँ पे बीच में बैरियर होता है बोर्ड, तो वो बड़ा सरफेस एरिया उसकी इम्पैक्ट को ज़्यादा लगने नहीं देगा एंड दैट्स अ पॉलीकार्बोनेट समथिंग फोम बोर्ड होता है वहाँ पे, जो इम्पैक्ट झेलने पे क्रैक करेगा, टूटेगा थोड़ा सा, जिससे इम्पैक्ट का फोर्स और कम हो जाएगा। इट्स लाइक अ क्रम्पल जोन।
क्या उसको डिसलेरेशन का टाइम मिल गया, तो उसका ये खुर्चा
डिसलरेशन का टाइम मिल गया, यस।
उसने हाथ लगा लिया होगा, ये लगाया, एंड देन वो इमरजेंसी एग्जिट पे था, इमरजेंसी एग्जिट खुल गया होगा, उसने खोला होगा, उसने कहा था अनकॉन्शियस है, ऑब्वियसली इतना बड़ा बैंग हुआ है, एंड देन ही गेन कॉन्शियसनेस एंड ही लेफ्ट।
बचा है आदमी 11 वाला, वो उसने सीट बेल्ट नहीं करी, सीट बेल्ट नहीं होती उसका हिप जरूर टूटा। और इवैक्यूएशन में प्रॉब्लम ये आती है बिकॉज़ नाउ योर हिप इज हर्ट, नाउ यू आर नॉट एबल टू गेट अप।
अभी आपने देखा होगा इंडिगो का जो एक इंसिडेंट हुआ था जहाँ पे टर्बुलेंस में फंस गया था, श्रीनगर जा रहा था, नोज डैमेज हो गई थी, पूरा नोज का पार्ट निकला था, सोचिए कितना डैमेज, लेकिन कोई हानि नहीं हुई क्योंकि सबने सीट बेल्ट पहनी हुई थी, पायलट्स ने ब्रीफ कर दिया था। तो
2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट तो मेजरली यार एयरक्राफ्ट में आई फील इम्पैक्ट के लिए नहीं होती है। इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ अगर टर्बुलेंस में यू हैव अ नेगेटिव जी फोर्स, तुम उठ के अपना सर ना हिट करो ऊपर, मेरे हिसाब से वही होता है।
ये जो 2 पॉइंट सीट बेल्ट होती है ये टर्बुलेंस के लिए होती है।
लो
टर्बुलेंस में आपका मूवमेंट अप डाउन होता है। स्पाइस
तो तुम्हारा सर ना हिट कर जाए ऊपर, दैट्स व्हाई।
जेट की एक फ्लाइट टर्बुलेंस में गई थी, उसमें एक बंदे ने
एयर कनाडा के साथ भी हुआ था अभी, जिन लोगों ने सीट बेल्ट नहीं पहनी थी सबने अपना सर मारा था 787 की छत पे। नो ही सेड ही वाज वेयरिंग द सीट बेल्ट, ही रिमूव्ड द सीट बेल्ट। यार ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि उसकी सीट बेल्ट ना उखड़ी हो, उसकी पूरी चेयर ही उखड़ गई हो नीचे से और सीधा जाके गिरा होगा सामने, पूरी चेयर की हार्नेस के साथ ही आगे जा सकता है, वो भी सोचो।
ही लॉस्ट हिज लाइफ और बहुत इंजरीज हुई थी कैबिन क्रू को। उस केस में उस बंदे ने सीट बेल्ट नहीं लगाई थी, तो उसका जो है टर्बुलेंस आया, वो बाउंस हुआ, उसका सर एयरक्राफ्ट की छत से लगा एंड ही लॉस्ट हिज लाइफ। तो ये जो सीट बेल्ट है 2 पॉइंट, ये टर्बुलेंस के लिए अच्छी है, लेकिन जब आप क्रैश कर जाते हैं तो उसके लिए अच्छी नहीं है।
बट टेक ऑफ लैंडिंग एक्सीडेंट में दिस विल इन फैक्ट बी अ डेट्रीमेंटल, ज्यादा इंजरीज होंगी।
How much do you earn?
55 lakhs per annum.
What? 55 lakhs?
अरे
That's your
मेरे-
salary right now?
Yes.
What do you do?
चर्च स्ट्रीट का कंटेंट क्रिएटर। ऑल्सो द सिंगापुर एयरलाइंस A350, यस।
2000 के बाद एक नया रेगुलेशन आया जिसमें FAA कहता है कि अब हम 16G सीट्स लगाएंगे, जिसका मतलब होता है कि किसी भी इम्पैक्ट में वो 16 टाइम्स G फोर्स ले सकती है।
तो पहले क्या किया, दे
अरे सीट ले सकती है, इंसान ले पाएगा क्या?
हैव बीन एक्सीडेंट्स बिफोर द कैलिकट वन, बट वो स्ट्रेट किया, सो उसमें दे सी दैट जो सीट होती है वो बच जाती है, वो ट्रैक से निकल के दे बंच अप एंड उससे इंजरीज होती है। देन दे मेड दी 16G सीट्स, नाउ इट इज मैंडेटरी टू हैव 16G, दे कैन बेयर दिस इम्पैक्ट। मतलब
चलो ये सीट हमने काफ़ी देख ली, इसकी थ्योरी हम समझ गए, ग्रीन एंड वाइट लाइट वाली थ्योरी भी समझ गए, एयरपोर्ट की फ़ोटो कहाँ से ली थी वो भी समझ गए, रिपोर्ट हमने पढ़ ली, QNH टेम्परेचर वेदर वगैरह, दैट ऑल इज गुड। लास्ट थिंग व्हाट आईड लाइक टू डू इज ओपन अप फ्लाइट सिम। ओह ये तो सैड हो गया। अरे यार ना भाई, फ्लाइट सिम सिमुलेशन तो नहीं हो पाएगी शायद आज। कोई बात नहीं। हाँ ओह आ गया योर फ्लाइट सिम इज ऑन। आई नो वो बंद कर लिया, आ गया। So this is the last thing we'll do before we end today's stream. We'll try to understand the insides of the 787 cockpit and how things might have happened. आज मैं अपने पड़ोसी से उधार पे मांग के आया हूँ कंट्रोलर। I want this stupid error to be solved too. हाँ भाई ये तो होता ही नहीं है, छोड़ो. Bro, 2x speed is normal for understanding. We are doing every night before exam. Just kidding. हाँ समझ गया. You'll be flying from AMD. I'm not flying anywhere. I'm just trying to understand the cockpit and show you what the report is saying, how the aircraft behaves according to the report. Okay, we are going to do a full toga takeoff. I'm just going to show you how that 1 second difference will make a difference on the aircraft's behavior, which we do not see on the simulation at all. इंक्रीज वेट्स एम टाउ, हाँ वो बढ़ा दूंगा मैं फ्यूल तो फुल ही कर दूंगा, मान लो मैक्सिमम टेक ऑफ वेट. आई इंक्रीज ऑल दैट, देन लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस. माय सिमुलेटर इज जस्ट गोइंग इन चेकिंग फॉर अपडेट्स. इट वोंट क्लोज. कर लो अपडेट. इट वाज अ 680 MB अपडेट. मैं तब तक इसका कंट्रोलर कनेक्ट कर लेता हूँ. Don't know how this thing works. My device is not showing up. Then I would rather use the cable if that does not work. Chodo. I'll use the cable instead. Where are flags? What flags? Okay. Controller is now connected. Keep default. Where's my 787? Horizon वाला भी है मेरे पास, तो Horizon वाला यूज़ करूँ, कौन सा यूज़ करूँ? ये वाला तो -10 है. This is -9. Wait, I'll use the Horizon one only then, because that has better inner graphics. 787-9, 787 GE Rolls Royce. ये लो GE वाला ही लेते हैं, ठीक है. Do I have any liveries for this? Nah. This is the runway they use for takeoff. Set as departure, fly. Sanam, whichever MSM is added on activities, they show the flag of which countries they were added to. अच्छा. मैं तो काफ़ी टाइम से फ्लाइट सिमुलेटर उड़ाया नहीं है, मैं तो भूल चुका हूँ आधी चीज़ें, वैसे ऐसा लगता है. Brakes are electric with electric actuators. हाँ, everything's electric in this. Plastic princess. Ready to fly? Oh, okay, wait. I changed some settings because I did not have my controller. I tried to fly with my mouse. Wait. Yep, and my laptop is still screwed, taking so long. Arey yaar, you told me about it. Bad situation. Lenovo being Lenovo. Okay, where's my time. Live weather se hata do. Okay, so this is going to be how do I change the camera angle? Here. Here's our 787. टेक ऑफ वेट्स वगैरह चेंज कर देता हूँ. There's some aircraft I don't want this to happen, so I will just तुम लोग मेरी स्ट्रीम देख के आ गए हो. न्यू सेटअप नहीं, this is my home. Wait 1 second. I don't want menace, any kind of menace. ट्रैफिक टाइप ऑफ. मेरे को ट्रैफिक ऑफ करना है. ये कहाँ से होगा? लो ऑफलाइन हो जाता हूँ ना. लेट मी जस्ट गो ऑफलाइन. नहीं, हाउ डू आई चेंज माई ट्रैफिक सेटिंग्स? वेयर इज माई ट्रैफिक सेटिंग्स? Yeah, okay. So let me just increase my weights. Fuel बढ़ा दो. लो 100% ही कर देते हैं, ठीक है. And next step is going to be flaps 5. Wait. Flap is at 5. And yeah, let's commence with my takeoff roll. I have auto throttle armed. So what I'm going to do here is go for my takeoff roll, and then I'll disengage one by one my cutoff switches. Okay. And let's go toga, right? Parking brake off, and we are rolling. $70 knots. $100 knots. I'll pause the flight in between. Wait. 120 knots. $150 knots and rotate. अरे what a rotation, क्या बात है. Here we have rotated, and here I will pause the flight for you. Okay. Now I'll turn off the switches one by one. This is my takeoff, and I'll turn the switches off one by one now. See what happens. One sec, and here one is off, and another is off. Do you see that bank? A little bit of yaw. And here we have dual engine failure. Here we start going down and down, and the stall warnings, and we are done. How far are we from the airport? Exactly where it's happened. Now you see this Sabarmati river here. This happened at around 400 feet. So the switch cutoff. See, the cutoff switch is like this. You have to lift it up and then you have to put it down. This is a little inaccurate, but anyways, you get my point. Right, I'll go again. Now let's see what would have happened at 1000 feet. Okay. What was that? Restart. Let's see what would have happened at 1000 feet. I'll take the aircraft up to 1000 feet. We'll do a dual engine failure, and then let's see where we can glide up to. laptop is lagging a little bit because I'm not at my usual setup. Alright, and parking brake off and tower. See how the throttle moves on its own. Chalo. This time I'll do at 1000 feet. Wait, I did not increase my payload. And 40 knots and rotate. And now we climb. $600 feet, 700 feet, 900 feet, 1000 feet, and cut off. Let's see what's our options here. Let's see what are our options. Okay, all controls are dead. Is my ram turbine out? Okay, this does not have it modeled. Too many buildings, and we have a wing stall. Can't help it. Even 1000 feet is technically less. Even 1000 feet is less. I mean, this is not actually at all accurate what I'm doing. This is not even study level aircraft. Please, what do you think about Operation Sindoor? Must. I think what I'm doing is half wrong. Pitch trim करना जरा नीचे trim. हाँ ये क्या 8.75 पे क्यों अटका हुआ है 9 और वो अब क्या करना था मेरे को वेदर और पेलोड. ठीक है इसको हटाओ पेलोड बढ़ाओ. Let's manually stabilize the aircraft. Engines are stable and toga. On the switch again. कर रहा हूँ रुको. I'll be way more comfortable doing this on the A320 actually. This area on the left is where the picture came from on the report. Rotate. There's my climb. Here is where they got the picture from. 300 feet, 450 feet, and engines to one engine is cut out. See how the aircraft yawed to the left? How the aircraft is veering to the left? And here's the hospital. Throttle shaker. And we're done. Toast.
Horizon Sim 1123 leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
Of course, this is not real. Gear up. अरे नहीं कर रहा हूँ gear up because it did not happen. You want me to do one IRL one? Okay, I'll show you. One last and then we end the video. इसमें मैं take off weight नहीं बढ़ा रहा हूँ because I'm going to land this stuff now. And here we go, Toga. Parking brake off. Krishna Gamers. Hello, hello Krishna Gamers. Second, positive ray, rotate. Yeah, I did have a tail strike. Gear up. Look at those massive doors that come out. This adds so much to the drag. Okay, airspeed is increasing. 1000 feet. Can I glide till Sabarmati from here? Not really. Wait, my chat went away. Now I'm not going throttle 0%. I'm trying to land this thing now. Expert hint at Boeing manufacturing flaws, etc. Whistleblower, flaps up, you're helping. Arey, I know what I have to do. But thank you. Flap 0. Flight director off karo.
Horizon Sim 112 acknowledge last transmission.
Auto throttle off. Downwind base and final. हाँ वही कर रहा हूँ. I have no idea how to configure Boeing. I'm just making a landing. That's all. Aircraft is out of trim.
Horizon Sim 1123, please acknowledge.
There's the airport. Bye bro, bye bye, bye bye. I'm also ending the stream in 5 minutes. You guys can stay for 5 more minutes if you want.
Horizon Sim 1123 ATC services terminated. Good day.
Buddy, I need you to go down. So start pitching down. Yeah, please, thank God, for God's sake. I need some speed brakes. Now that I have your setup, can we have a stream tomorrow? No bro, this is not my stream setup. Ignore the bank angles and everything. Oh, leave bank angle. We are stalling already. Great. Never let me fly a Boeing. Remind me again. Yeah, we are toast again. Never let me fly a Boeing. Yeah, that was bad. Let's just leave it here. I don't know how to fly a Boeing. Remember my Bhavnagar VOR landing in 787 after I cursed? Yes, I did. I do. Anyways, चलो काफ़ी बातचीत कर ली हमने. ट्राई टू रिक्रिएट कर लिया. हमसे नहीं हुआ बिकॉज मैं नहीं उड़ा था 787. 320 पे आओ तो बताता हूँ. हाँ. ओके गाइज, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी इट फॉर टुडे स्ट्रीम. मुझे भी घर जाना है अब. एंड आई विल सी यू गाइज इन द नेक्स्ट स्ट्रीम विच इज गोइंग टू हैपन आफ्टर 20th. 20 के बाद हम स्ट्रीम करेंगे क्योंकि आई विल बी बैक एट माई एक्चुअल सेटअप. So until then, take care. Do not believe in misconceptions. Have your own theories. Keep them to yourselves. Until unless we have good reports out there, there's nothing we can do. चलिए तब तक के लिए bye bye. Thank you, शुक्रिया for joining and keep your seat belts fastened and as always, happy landings. Bye bye. Yourselves.